Okay, this is a sort of mid-range spool gun, cheap to mid-range, which I've just recently purchased over eBay. It's marked up LTS UK. Great for MIG welding, great for welding aluminium, feed 0.6 to 1mm wire. There's a picture of it in the cover, and it's a spool gun. Right, so to have a look at this little gadget, this is what you get inside the box. Yeah, it's a spool gun. It comes with a roll of aluminium wire. I think probably about 0.5 kilo, 8.8mm wire on it. It comes with a Euro fitting. So those two pins there are the switch wires or switch connections. So when you push the trigger on the gun, it will feed wire actually out the spool in the handle of the gun, or in the rear of the gun. So this saves it forcing aluminium wire up along wire feed tube up inside the conventional MIG feed tube. Now I've got my MIG weld down here. It's an old Brit weld. You can see down there BR155S compact single phase MIG, says down there. I think it goes possibly to about 180 amps. Don't really remember, but that's fairly unimportant. We've got all the settings. I got this for free. It was chucked out at the garage where I was working some years ago, and there we go. So all I had to do was fix it, which took me an hour or two. Now, can't recall. Possibly I fitted the Euro. Yeah, I think I fitted this gun on it because the original one had been chopped off, sort of like decommissioning it, if you want to use military terms. So I went and bought a connector and a Euro torch and got it going again. Quite like this one. It's got a rotary switch for the power. You can control the pulsing of the current which flows out of it, burn back, pull, pause, weld. You can do all of that with it. So it's a nice little welder. I find it works really well, and I can put a nice big drum of wire in the back, well, in the side, which looks like it's coming to an end very shortly. Right, so to use one of these little spool guns, you have to do a modification to that welder, basically involving this little gadget. I've no idea what this plug is. I tried looking it up online. There's basically, it's a 4-pin connector, but only 2 pins are used in there. So basically this has to supply 12 volts DC to the motor in here. So you could say, oh well, just get an extra battery and connect your 12 volt DC to those 2 pins there. Problem is, you've got to have a controlled speed on the motor, and the control of the motor speed is all done probably pulse width modulated through the circuitry, which is all inside of here. So that's a pulse width modulator. So it controls pulses like DC pulses which are run into the motor. So it's basically gaps and pulses, so pulse width modulation. So that's what controls the motor speed. So first thing you've got to do is establish where the motor is. Straight away, it's not stuck here on the back of the drum of wire. That's not where the motor is connected. It doesn't force wire up. It drives the wire through a couple of rollers which are situated down in here, and those rollers grip the wire and force it up the tube of the gun. So we have to divert the 12 volt feed, and I know it's 12 volts because I've tested it with a little multimeter. Yeah, really expensive multimeter. This cost me all of about £4. Yeah, so basically you can also look in here and you can generally get a bit of an idea about which one will be the live by the colours. Now you think that one's white and that one's sort of reddy brown, so you think, okay, the reddy brown must be the live, but actually it's not. If you look on the other side, the wires which feed in at the top of that block, the red wire or red insulation goes to the white wire below, and the black wire goes to the reddy brown wire below. You follow? And I've DC tested this, and in fact that is the neutral or negative, and that one is live. Sorry, other way around. That one is the live, that one is the neutral. As I've said there, the red insulation wire going in at the top is your live. So what I've got to do is I've got to fit a switch and a socket on the front of here so that I can divert the power from that motor there to the socket on the front, and the switch is for switching the wire, the 12 volt supply, either to this motor or to the motor in the spool gun via a socket. Now, because I couldn't work out what the hell, what the hell this plug was and find a socket to connect to it, I had to make a decision, and I've purchased this online. This is called, I think, something like a TS17 plug and socket, and I should have the little pouch, so I'll be able to tell you exactly what this is if I come over here. It's got documentation here. Okay, it's called an SP17 standard series IP68 waterproof circular multi-pole plug and socket connectors. So it's an SP17 2-pin, which is what I've purchased. Now, I established that I only needed 2 pins because there's only 2 wires I'm requiring. Now, I could have been... Now, basically, the way I'm doing it, I will say I'm happy with. Now, you can't connect this connector together in any way other than one way round, so I can't mess up the positive and the negative to the spool gun and make the gun go backwards. That's a non-starter. So this connector needs to be replaced with the one that's on the existing spool gun, and I need to connect this socket here, which will unscrew. I need to connect that 2-pin socket, come on, this to the front, so I need to drill holes in the front of my welder now. And obviously I've already checked that the lead on the side of the spool gun here, this spool gun lead, will reach over to the place where I'm going to drill my holes for this little socket. The socket also comes with a little plastic cover to keep the dirt out of it, or stop anyone putting a wire in and shorting the supply out. Yeah, so there you go. I've also got a nice old-fashioned switch here. It's a single pole 2-position switch, so basically that will switch the positive wire either to the motor in the welder or the motor in the spool gun. Quite simple. So live will be connected to the center pin, and the spool gun socket will be connected to one leg there, and the internal motor wire on the MIG will be connected to the third pin down here. So depending on which position I flick that 2-position switch, will drive whichever motor. Simple. So now I've just got to get to drilling holes and mounting switches. Okay, so once it's all done, I've now got the torch fitted on. I've got the switch all sorted out, so it's got an internal switch and the spool gun position, internal and spool. Yeah. Earth lead's looking a little bit dodgy. I need to put some tape on it probably. Yeah, so we can set up the speed. I have no idea if there's anything special about setting up weld pause bird back on this, because people don't really tell you on YouTube what you should set it up. They tell you the speed in so many feet per second, but as I'm not very good at working out the speed in feet per second that the wire's actually coming out, I suppose I could count for 1 second and see if a foot of wire comes out of it, and I suppose that's a bit of an idea. Yeah, so let's see. So there we go. So you've got to use 100% argon gas, which I am told this is. Not really any idea what you should set this up for. I know what I'm doing when I'm using my standard MIG for welding steel, but I don't really know what this should be set up for. So it's just sort of guesswork. I've got a piece of aluminium in the vise, and I've got a stainless steel brush for cleaning the aluminium down. So in terms of using the gun, I've set the wire up in the gun, fed the wire through the 2 rollers. Maybe that's the right sort of speed it wants to come out at. Yeah, so there we go. So the time is to test it on some aluminium and just make a mess, I suppose. Right, so I'm told the first time everyone uses these things, you just make a complete mess. Now I did see someone who first time he'd used it didn't even have the argon gas connected. Now I've definitely got the gas on it, and you can listen here. Here you can hear the gas escaping. Now I saw someone made a little video, and he put some sort of little mesh or something in here to make sure that the gas was going forwards, which comes out of these little holes here, but I don't really see how that would help, because it would just sort of block the gas coming out the front. So I don't really see what that was all on about. The gas can only come out the front. My earth is clamped directly on to the aluminium. I've got negative earth welding on this. I think that is correct. Yeah, so this is how you make a mess of aluminium with a spool gun. There's lots of techniques: positioning the actual nozzle close to it, far away, raked downwards, upright, all sorts of angles, and you've just got to, I believe, just play around with it until you actually work out how it's done. So in order to do that means you're going to use loads and loads of aluminium wire. So see, basically that just looks like an absolute mess, and there's nothing which looks like the aluminium is trying to flow in any sort of way. To me, it looks like there's no shield gas on there. Now, I've tried it with low gas, I've tried it with high flow of gas, and doesn't seem to make any difference. We can try the different angles. It's basically the same all the time. Whatever you do, it's just a big load of sort of poorly melted aluminium. Looks like it's oxidized to me. Just looks like an oxidized mess. If I was doing this in steel, I'd just think my gas had run out. So, you know, tons of wire to use. I suppose it is melting to the surface. You know, can't say it's not bonding to the aluminium. You know, I dare say I could use it to create a plug weld and weld two pieces of aluminium together just by putting it over. You know, drill a hole in one piece of aluminium, place that aluminium over another one, and then plug weld it and then grind it flat. So, you know, that could be done. But at the moment I don't really think very much of it. I wouldn't say there's soot in there. I can't say that I've got a soot build-up like I see in lots of people's videos. It just seems to be very poor. It's just sort of jumping around and no sort of control on it. every now and then. Every now and then the wire will jam, and then you've got to pull it out a little bit. Now, if you look closely at that, I tried to do little figure of eights on it. Can we see the aluminium in the right place? Or am I looking completely at the wrong thing? Yeah, so I just tried to do little figure of eights in the metal there, but it's got this stippled pattern all over the surface, which I don't particularly like. Then the wire jams again. Snap it off like that, I hope. Right. Pretty damned ugly. Is it welding? Well, yeah, it's welding, but not in a manner that I would like to put on display on anything. Anyway, if I keep doing this for several more years or whatever, eventually I might work out what's wrong with the thing, but that's the setup up to now anyway. So I got the thing working, or at least connected up to the welder, and I've just got to keep playing around with it now, and eventually I might be able to do some jobs with it. Okay.